What do you know about the Calico Riots of 1719? It's hard to believe, but in early 18th century England, wearing a dress like this could get you assaulted, attacked, covered in ink and nitric acid, and even worse. That's because there was a major conflict between the considered very patriotic Spitalfield silk industry that had grown up out of the mass immigrants coming from France of Huguenot ancestry and the new imports of chintz cotton from India. Chintz cotton is beautiful block printed cotton that has the same kinds of floral sprays that you would only be able to get in silk, figured silk, and pay lots of money for up until this point. That meant that beautiful gowns like this were accessible to people who up until that point could not afford to wear such gorgeous outfits. And in spite of restrictions on chintz trade, women continued to wear these in public. This made the weavers very upset. And when women would not stop wearing these dresses, in spite of those laws passed against chintz, they took matters into their own hands. In 1719, over 4,000 weavers rose up against women. There were anti-calico propaganda that was put out on the streets, name-calling. Women were attacked, dragged into the street for wearing these kinds of dresses. The dresses were ruined and covered in all kinds of horrendous materials, and it was a terrible, terrible time. Parliament, of course, is eventually alerted to the problem, and unsurprisingly, they come down on the side of commerce and not the common woman. Eventually, chintz is completely banned outside of England, although it still comes in and is smuggled, and you get dresses like this one, which are designed to look like they are made of chintz, but are in fact very, very richly woven silk textiles to remain patriotic while preventing the poorer classes from dressing as they would like and accessing fashion. Like many Spitalfield silk pieces, this dress was remade later in the 18th century into the shape that you now see, but I still think is a great example of how upper classes would often steal from the lower classes, make it their own, make it impossible for them to have it, and still get away with it at the end of the day. Of course, as the story goes, eventually Europeans figured out how to make chintz and dried up that industry entirely out of India, adding one more brick to the economic downfall that they caused later on because of the cotton industry over there. So there you go.